When I am trying to rewind bobbins, sometimes I don't have very many empty bobbins left. I really like the newer Easy Wind bobbins better than the original old bobbins. The new ones have that little slot in there so you can put the thread through when you're winding it up. The old ones did not have that little side opening. So I'm going to show you how to wind up both an old one and a new one, and the tricks that I have found are helpful for me. First of all, let's use the old style. This has no handy-dandy little slot to hold the thread. So we're just going to wind it up a few times. Now here's the tricky part. I'm going to thread behind the thread and then back in front of the thread again. And that usually helps quite a bit. When I start it up now, I just want to let that go and it will start to wind up nicely. Woohoo! It doesn't always work the first time, but it usually works quite well. And that little teeny tail just gets tucked in there. It works out really nicely. I watch from the top, and if it's getting a little uneven, I just encourage it to continue winding evenly as much as possible. When it stops, I loosen up the tension on the thread just a little bit before I snip it. If I snip it while it's tight, it frays a lot more. So I usually loosen up the tension just a little bit before I snip it. Okay, now we're going to be using the new Easy Wind bobbins. But there are some tricks with this as well. I tend to use a hemostat, a little locking tweezer, and it makes it a little bit easier for me to thread the tail end of that thread through that little slot. Now the tricky thing is, that's kind of sharp. If I pull too tight, it will cut the thread. So when you start winding up the thread, you want to be careful not to pull too tight on the thread. That seems to be the most important thing. I want to give myself enough length of thread here that I can just hold on to it gently, but let it go. It's kind of like when a kid starts riding bicycle with the training wheels. You want to be right there, but then you want to let it go as soon as he catches on. So as I start up, if I'm holding too tight, it's going to break the thread and it may or may not wind up right away. So a lot of times I will just hold the thread for a moment, and then as it winds up, I just let it wind up, and then after it's caught for sure, then I pull it to cut the tail so that the tail doesn't just keep twisting and winding in there. But yeah, leave yourself enough thread so you can hang on to it and let it go as it winds up. Hoo-hoo! I'm ready to go again. The other helpful hint is I try to put my tools away again right away. These long magnets are wonderful. They are from Harbor Freight, and I use them all over my quilting studio. Yeah, that way I always have a scissor right here by my threader, my bobbin winder.